for me, it's like hard. It's super hard to get into. Because I hear so much of the same sound every single time I listen to it. It's so hard to get into it. But you name some.
But it's not even about getting into it. It's about the lingo. Sometimes, you know what I mean, and the code of communication that we all have. Every generation have a code of communication. So you listen, for that. You know what I mean, and you see where they at with it. Right. So you it's just a mindset. Actually, it's to study everything.
Right.
That's it.
And plus, I don't make music, so I don't hear or see it the same way you do. You know what I mean? And musically, I think even sound wise, because hearing your music back in the days, it used to be like you was melodic. You was into the melodic sound.
Right.
And now so many artists are doing the melody thing. They look for those sounds in their beats and that smooth sound now.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed that in music now.
I mean, now it's probably transcending. At one time, all the music had a certain tempo, I guess a couple of years ago. Yeah. So now it's kind of going into that zone, but, everything 360, you know what I mean?
For sure. It's not every day I get to sit with a legend. I was telling you earlier how important it is to capture certain moments in hip-hop.
Right.
And certain people in their discography up to where they are in their career.
Right.
I think you being one of those cats, it means so much to me and all of our staff and everything we had going on because you represent what we do. And I think that's, for me, it's super duper important. So I'm honored to even be here today.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me, man.
No doubt. Me and the staff got together and we ordered you something real special. Something real special. So I'm gonna have it come out in a second.
That was gangsta.
Y'all can see it. Put it
that's big right there. That's big.
So if y'all see your legacy and what you've done in hip hop, this is from me and the whole Bars I-95 staff to you. This is our way of saying thank you for what you've done in hip hop.
That's real.
Fabric of the golden era.
Yeah.
This is our way of saying thank you. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I like it, God. Any award is a good thing because it represents accomplishment. You dig? And I feel like I definitely came and did what I had to do, and I accomplished a lot. So this is real, man. I appreciate it.
No doubt. For me, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Making sure our idols. Hip hop doesn't not only move on from our idols, but we keep them alive and keep them here.
Many more to come. Many more to come.
That's
you heard? Many more to come. You dig? This is fly right here. We're gonna put this on the wall. We're gonna hang this up. You know what I mean? On my wall of fame in the foundation. You know what I mean?
That's a fact. So this is for y'all, man. The fans that's been supporting AZ all these years, that's still supporting the newer fans of Bars I-95, the older fans. Understand this is what we do for hip hop, man. This is it's important for us to commemorate our legends, commemorate the people that came and paved the way for some of y'all MCs now, and just left that integrity and that value. So, this is from us to you.
That's real. Appreciate it. Salute.
I just feel like he created a lane for himself. He didn't want to go where anybody else was.
He got some kind of knowledge himself.
He didn't think he was that great, but we did.
I wanted to just bring all that to fruition on this album to represent the maturity, the growth, and let everybody know I'm independent and it feel good. My whole direction once I got the record deal was I gotta represent now, My calling is here, the time is here, that window of opportunity is open. I have to, represent for Brooklyn.
To be able to translate that into Billboard #1, global charting, that's another thing. So when he was able to do that, we was like, oh shit. Like, okay.
The greats always put a sequel out, to me. Like I made history regardless of what, you know what I mean? I just felt like I was a part of history, that I was here for a reason. I'm documented in time forever.
Bars I-95, Connecticut's #1 rap hip-hop platform, the home of the heavy bar spitters. Skills over politics, that means bring your pen game, not your name. What that also means is we come from the part of hip-hop that, there's a value that was instilled years ago. And to this day, we like to push that message forward. And it's our job to make sure we stay close to the things that built that integrity and where hip-hop comes from. So it's only an honor, you know, it's a pleasure for me to have this, to present this next guest to y'all. But before I present him, just understand, he's part of the elite group of MCs and elite group of leaders that came back in the days where they paved the way for a lot of the things that's happening now. And if it wasn't for them, a lot of the things that's going on right now wouldn't even be existing. So I greatly appreciate you joining us on the show. I got my man AZ in the building.
Salute. Thank you for having me, man.
My pleasure. Now, as I was saying before, it's our job to make sure that integrity and that value, that hip hop that was instilled in hip hop years ago sticks around and is still here, and the message is pushed forward. When I got the word that, you know, when you made the announcement, because I know you've been working on Doe Or Die for a while now, and you know you announced it, everybody went crazy for it. Now you finally dropped it.
Finally.
You know, I guess the first thing I could ask you is, man, how you feeling, man? How you feeling, man?
Back in the game, man. 25 years. I'm feeling good though.
Yeah.
To get embraced, it feel great, man, honestly.
20 years, and you know,
25.
25.
Actually, yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people can, a lot of people in the industry can't really say that. You know what I'm saying? Like even to a point of you're not just here, but you in great condition. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, it shows test of time. So you know, that's you know, it's a blessing to be able to even have you here.
Thank you.
I know when it comes to sequels to your debut project, not too many people have that. Not too many people try to touch their debuts or their legendary projects. What made you decide to? What made you decide to?
Well, my thing was when I first signed a contract, my first contract in '95, it was for 9 albums. And I was shook. You know what I mean? You're looking at it, you're a young cat, like 9 albums, I ain't get past the first one. Right. But once you get in the game and I had success with the first one, I was like, okay, you know, put a few albums out. I was like, all right, it's time to bring things full circle, you know what I mean?
Right.
And kind of show the maturity and what you've been through. And you know, the greats always put a sequel out, to me, you know what I mean? For what I seen being in the game. So it was just my time to follow up.
Right,
Yeah.
and I love the project. You know, it's one of my favorite joints out right now. I want to mention this because it's so important to highlight. When you first dropped Doe Or Die 1, it charted. You know what I'm saying? It was critically acclaimed. It was I think it was top 15 in the country. It was I think it was like #1 at that time for however many
on the hip hop charts.
Yeah, on the hip hop charts. Yeah. So I thought that was a beautiful thing. Now, 25 years later, we here and it charted again.
Facts.
You know, how does that feel? Like how you know what I'm saying?
You know what? It feels good because, you know, like me being in the game for so long, I've seen how, you know, the West Coast had it, the Midwest, the South, you know, how the sonics changed, the fashion changed, the dancing changed, and to like just sit back, you know what I mean, and then wait to see my target again, and then shoot and hit it. You feel like a official sniper, a hip hop sniper. You know what I mean?
I can see that's super duper important, especially nowadays in this modern day hip hop world. So much has changed, and you being a veteran, you've been through the 90s, you've been through the 2000s, you've seen the 2010s, you've seen the 2020s, all the way up to now. It's like you've seen so much of the evolution of hip hop to where it is now. Listening to the project, I love it. You know, I love the project. And the original, I put so much pressure on it because I was such a huge fan of the first joint and your brand overall. But to the point where it is now, what approach did you take in comparison to how it was back then compared to how it is now?
Back then, you know, I really ain't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Like, I figured I had a budget that I never end. I had a big label behind me, and I was just wasting a lot of time, right? But I still wanted to represent and carry the torch on for, you know, the other artists before me that I appreciated, that I idolized. So I put that album out, did what it did, you know what I mean, and it made an impact. So this album, you know, being through all the shit that I've been through, all the things I've seen, because talent is everything, but when you know the business or you learn the business, it's another side to it, you know what I mean? So I wanted to just bring all that to fruition on this album, to represent the maturity, the growth, and let everybody know I'm independent, and it feels good. You know, it's great to go independent. It's great, you know. at the same time stay in the lane that I started in, you know what I mean, without just trying to jump around and for a business model it's good, like, you know, to capture the sonics, that's what's going on, or deal with like the now, but I just wanted to keep that vintage sound and represent me without compromising, you know, my integrity. I think I pulled it off.
Right, and I think because you came from such a time where integrity was so big,
right.
And you know you was part of the leaders at that time, and you come from that cloth,
right?
So I wasn't even surprised that you kept that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people don't.
They don't. That's what I'm saying. A lot of cats don't, because, you know, it becomes more of a business. Before, when we first started, it was just more talent. Like, y'all want to represent for the hood, represent for the game. Let those that I idolize know I'm carrying on tradition. But when you get in the game, you kind of, a lot of people get caught up in the business. When you get a certain type of money or success, you want to keep it. You know what I'm saying? It becomes a lifestyle. But the beauty is, you know, those that possess that passion and possess that talent, they really. They capture it in the bottle and they preserve it. You know what I mean? So,
right. And like I said, I think you did that in a beautiful way with this project. Just to, you know, for the youngsters that's tuned in, because we got a lot of new young hip hoppers that taps into the culture and watches the show all the time.
Right.
I always try to do my best to make sure y'all understand the importance of an AZ. Y'all understand the importance of the story behind. You know, we know the stories though. Y'all call us old heads, but I know the stories, and hip hop knows it. Real hip hoppers know the story, and if you do your research, to understand why it's important. But for those who don't know, and those who not tapped in and not aware how important it is to understand the importance of Doe Or Die, it's my job to make sure y'all understand where it comes from. So AZ, you know, you got a rather unique. You know, no pun. You got a rather unique storyline from how you enter the game, and at a time where, in my opinion, it was the golden era of hip hop. I brought it with me because I was such a huge fan. For the fans, for the youngsters that don't know, this is original, by the way. When it first came out, when your joint came out, so I kept it for a while. So for the youngsters that don't know, 94. Let me just actually ask you. When did you first hit the scene in hip hop? Where you could coin it? What year?
No, it was 94 because I was on Illmatic. You know what I mean? And that me getting on Illmatic wasn't premeditated. It was something that happened. You know, just you know, the way I met Nas was unique. You know, just on the phone with the homies, like, yo, man, my man better than your man. You know, we got on the phone back then. We had a cell phone, so getting on the phone and just chopping it up. You know, I felt his style, you know what I mean? Felt my style, and the fact that the same shit that was going on out there in Queensbridge was going on, you know what I mean, in my hood. So we locked in, and you know, I was just going to support when he was doing Illmatic, because it was before I think he even had a deal. He was just rapping and shit. So, you know, as time went on, he got a deal, and I was just supporting, and then being in a session, I think it was his last session and the last song, he was just doing shit, and I was just humming like, yo, I need that right there. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. You already had, what's the joint you had out already, Leak? What was it? Halftime already. It was already banging.
Yeah.
Like, everybody knew what it was, so I was like, man, get out of here, you know what I mean? But then I did it, I spit, and you know, everybody in the studio really, they felt it, and I was like, okay, shit, I might be on to something. You know, I didn't know he was gonna keep it at the time on the album, though. We just did it, and then probably like a week later, like, y'all kept the song on the album. I was like, I'm like, all right, fuck it. You know what I mean? It's all good, like, you know what I mean? So it really organically took place. And from there, you know, that's when I got my deal in 95, and I put out Sugar Hill and Doe Or Die. Then the year after that, you know, he dropped It Was Written. Then the year after that, we did The Firm, which was a good look. And
now I don't want you to just skip over it like that, because I think that was a legend. Like, legendary things is happening at that time, and you know, you were part of that. You were part of hip hop building of that. You know what I'm saying? That the verse you're talking about, I think I heard Nas explaining the story. He said he had, you know, he was at the time he was writing he was putting the song, he was finishing up the project, and his mans got locked up that was originally supposed to be on the song. And he said the only other person that he would allow to even be on that song, he was like, it was A. He said he called A came to the studio, and you was going crazy with a bunch of verses he was hearing. He's like, yo, he's going crazy. And then there was one particular verse you spit that that's why he ended up keeping it. Now, my question to you is, I don't know if it was a rumor or if it was true. I heard somebody they were saying in one of the interviews that he went back and rewrote his verse. Was that true? I don't know.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't think so. You know he was a sharpshooter too.
Yeah, of course. But the verse was such a legendary. It was such a legendary thing. And you got to remember, Nas was on his. He was on his climb at that point. For him to even see another cat and like hear that verse that resonated with him, it was that's a legendary thing. Now that song went on to go crazy for him. Now you guys went on tour, right? I believe at that time you guys went on tour. How did that tour, I guess, impact your career, like your lift off, or how did that?
Everything that was taking place was like a on-the-job training, right? I've never been on tour. I really been in the studio, so I'm learning as I was going. I mean, it became a great experience. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, because it was just schooling me early prior to me signing my contract. So I kind of knew, you know what I'm saying, what the do's and nots, you know what I mean? And it was great. You know what I mean? Get that energy from the crowd and how to really rock a crowd. Like we was learning at the same time. He ain't never been on tour himself, so we was learning at that time. So it was fly, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So now this the success from the song. How did that affect you as far as like the success from the song? How that obviously was part of you getting your deal, right?
Right.
And bringing, propelling you into the next phases of your career. Right. It allowed you to do, you started the deal. You talked about the business structure of it.
Right.
At that time, you just said it earlier. How much of the business that you actually knew about at that time? As far as the music.
You talking about as soon as I got in?
Yeah, when you got in.
You know what? I didn't really know much, but I just, just the type person I am and how I grew up. When I was, signing contracts and they was like, we want you to publish, and I was like, just to be an asshole, because that's, I didn't really grasp, what it was all about.
Right.
But I was like, just nah. So I was able to keep my publishing, you know what I mean? Which was a great thing that I still got to this day. And as I went on, I learned about the masters. So I got my other masters later on. But I was learning. As time was going on, I was just a cat that was just picking up. That's it. You know what I mean?
Now, in comparison to, I'll jump back and forth a little bit. Before I jump, though, I want y'all to understand the climate of New York City rap at that time, because New York City rap was running everything. And it was so many legends. Like when that album dropped, that year, so many people dropped. I'm talking about from like Raekwon the Cuban, the legendary Cuban Link.
Facts.
Like it was so many albums that dropped that year.
Right.
And it's like, for you to be that, that year, that had to been crazy running around. Because I always say this, you don't really know something legendary is happening while it's happening. You just being you. You know what I'm saying? And at that time, looking back now, do you ever think about like it was a lot of cats that was like legendary?
I didn't think about it. It just felt like, to me, it felt like high school, because I knew Chef, you know what I'm saying? I knew, the mob, you know what I mean? Those that was representing my peoples, you know what I'm saying? Big, I know that's Brooklyn. I'm fucking with Nas, the Wu I know. You know what I'm saying? Mob is from Queens, I know. So it's like we all just get money and just chilling, you know what I mean? Young
Fugees dropped that year, Tupac dropped that year.
Oh, wow. See?
Yeah, it was, 95 was a huge year, bro.
That's
and
real.
The fact that, like I said, yours, when you dropped it being critically acclaimed and, #1 in hip hop, like that's for me, that's amazing to even you was, like I said, you was part of the golden era of hip hop. And at that time, for your project to drop. So, to move it forward, how did that influence you as far as, being on top of your game, as far as seeing the type of competitions? Like, did you think about that? Did it affect you in any way to be like, yo, I gotta get on my joint?
Nah, I don't know. That when you busting moves, you don't really. I wasn't paying attention to none of that. I was really just paying attention to me, like elevating my game at that time. Like, I just felt like my pen had to get a little stronger. I wanted to learn more about the business, because at the same time, like within that year, I think Jay was coming out. When he was doing Rockefeller, then Master P, and the ownership was coming. I'm like, okay, the old motherfuckers doing it. All right. So I was more or less in just like trying to analyze and step my game up. So I wasn't thinking about competition and writing. Right. It was what it was, you know what I mean?
Right. And as far as the business goes, you mentioned you later went into, Illmatic drop.
Right.
Your joint was out. the tour, all that stuff happened,
Right.
and the firm came. What was one of the things with the firm that you learned as a, being part of a collective, part of a group that that you wouldn't have, or that you, I guess, understood or learned being part of a group or being individually working on your own?
Well, my thing was everybody individually was successful. That was the great thing about it. I knew that after that we was going back to our individual doing our thing. So I learned, you learn teamwork. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a lot of things involved, but you learn how to deal with it and cope and move accordingly. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I learned. Like, teamwork is everything. But you kind of knew that. Well, I knew that personally, like dealing with my own album and having, the managers and road managers and shit like that. But when you're dealing with artists and everybody's creative, you learn to, just work in cahoots. You hear ideas, you spin off on that, you add yours, and it's like baking a cake. So on the creative side, it was a great experience.
All
put
the
it like
ingredients,
that. Yeah.
So, as with how the firm was structured, did you guys sit down and like, yo, we gotta put a group together? Like, how did that even come about for y'all to even decide to do a firm? Was it a phone call you got? Like, what?
No, it was just, I mean, like the stars lined up. Like, you know what I'm saying? From the inception, from Nas to my album to his album doing even better, to really, having an idea that it was gonna go down. I think from my album, like with the firm, on the More Money, More Murder situation, it was a thought. And I guess when this album came out, that it was written and sold a couple of million, it was just the right time to strike, and put it together. So gave it a shot.
How did the being signed to EMI affect you at that time?
The what?
How did being signed to your being signed?
I mean,
how did that affect you?
Like my approach to things is kind of weird because, I could have signed anywhere, but I signed to EMI because I felt like they had Gangstar, which was fly.
They dropped that year too.
They had Gangstar. And they had two other acts, Bahamadia, they had Jazz Artist, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then they have a slew of artists. So I just felt like, me going there, I could be the nucleus of what's going on. And, if I rock, I get all the love. I didn't want to go there where Nas was because, that was his home. That's where he ate at. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to go over here because they had that locked over there, Def Jam, whatever. So I went with EMI. I wasn't too sure if they knew everything about the business, so I figured we'd learn together. So in the process of the success of Doe or Die, they folded. So it threw me for a little loop. But, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I made a mark, so I'm good. So from there, started me bouncing from here to there to there to there. You know what I'm saying? I never been dropped from a label. That's a big thing. And no label ever held me like, nah, you sign a contract, sit back, yo, that's it. It was always, all right, hey, we regardless of who fault it is, here your walking papers, do you? You know what I mean? So that was a good look.
You guys agreed, because it was 9 albums at that time.
It was 9 albums, but they folded. It was once they fold, it's non-void. That contract is non-void. So I got passed to the parent company, which was Virgin Records. And then from there, you know what I mean? I just felt the ways because at that time, I think they was just dealing with like rap a lot and the Midwest. And I don't think they really focused on the East Coast or however, whatever. I felt the way, man. Listen, I need to go do something else. And they're like, all right, hey, here, boom. You know what I mean? So my whole career was moving, right? So that's a skill within itself to stay moving and still constantly put music out. And that's what made me have to learn the game. It's like, being a foster child, you're going from home to home, you learn the game of life and how to maneuver. So that's where I was with it. You know what I'm saying? So me being on EMI was a good look because they showed love initially, like off top, they showed the love that was needed, but they couldn't sustain it for whatever, whatever business-wise was going through. But, I was cool. I was cool with it all. Like I take the bitter with the sweet, like with life, you know what I mean? So.
Right. Coming out of that situation now, obviously you gain a little more knowledge.
Right.
What mind frame were you in going into? Because now you're talking about the end of the 90s, going into the 2000s. Right. And hip hop was shifting a little bit.
Oh yeah, facts.
Where was AZ mentally? What capacity were you in at the time?
Listen, if you follow my career, I'm just trying to chase a bag. Because when 2000 came, I think I went to Motown. That's when I put out the 9 Lives and the Asiatic album, you know what I mean? But I knew Motown at the same time was just like EMI, right? They didn't have too many hip hop, but so that was my whole goal, to go start my own universe somewhere, be the nucleus, right? That's just always my goal. Like with whatever I do, to go somewhere, you know what I mean, and plant my flag.
Right.
So I went there and put out them albums. You know, and that's when Neo Soul was popular. You know what I'm saying? Around that time, that's when Neo Soul, all that shit was going crazy. So I was still trying to break through the whole shit at that time. You know what I mean?
Right. And you know, going into 2010, I think, like I said, it was going into 2000s. It was a shift happening. 2010, the shift.
2010, another shift.
Another shift happened because that's when the bloggers and all that shit started coming in.
Facts.
Like in a huge way.
Facts.
You know, YouTube. It started. Right. Like, how did you maneuver through that? Where were AZ mentally? What kind of space were you in? Seeing all this happen.
Yeah, I mean, mentally, my eyes always on the target. My shit never shifted, right? So my eyes on the target. But what it was, you know, I was independent at that time. So me being independent, you know, it's a different mind frame. You know what I'm saying? Like you gotta be your own boss. You gotta pull strings and make things happen. And I was new to it. Right. Like even though I was 05, I started out independent. But then by 2010, you know, I was learning that world and those that I was dealing with. Right. I was independent, but really I wasn't, because it was like you just got what's that called? A production deal, right? Well, you can use your name, but we still taxing you over here. That's what I learned, right? So I was like, I gotta get away from that shit too. So when that happened, I had to fall back for a minute, right? Because, you know, some artists will probably want to stay in the mix and try to keep their shine, but you could get points deducted if you ain't moving right neither. So I had to sit back and really just like, I gotta figure this shit out. So that's why I laid dormant. But you know, patience is everything. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't know how to acquire that, but it's a serious thing. I mean, it's easier said. Like right now, I'm talking about it because you know I'm back in the mix. But you know, sitting back and really just chilling, it's like that take a skill, man. It take a skill to be poised and knowing like you thinking about the future. You got stack paper over here. You got to still bust a move over here. You don't want to get caught in the game. You get sucked back in the streets. Shit's like a whole nother world. But you know, I sat back. I figured it out. You know what I mean? And then I was like, I kept putting music out from 2010. That's like 9, I think that's last time I put an album out or something like that, a full. So by 10, I'm like, all right, I gotta figure this out. But the years going by, I still was doing shows, you know what I mean? I was putting little music out here and there.
I think that's the one, I think one of the most underrated thing that I don't think people give you enough credit for. Is your value never depreciated. So what I mean by that is, whenever we talked about like the guys in New York City, like to this day, AZ could come out with something and you gotta put a respect on his name. You have to put a respect value to him.
That's real.
You can't even write him off, because there's so many, you know, veterans that come, but people don't really even talk about them anymore. But the fact that like your joint just dropped and it's charted. You know what I'm saying? Like I know Timberland posted about it. He was just talking about it the other day about how happy he is to see a Doe Or Die on the charts. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I mean by the AZ brand and the name throughout these years. No matter what was happening, it didn't depreciate. You still had that, you know, and I believe it's from what you did, the foundation you built for yourself, and the, you know, the integrity that you kept in this music industry. You know, I just wanted to say that, but to go into, you know, the 2000s now all the way up to now, you've seen all the shifts in the industry, from the business of it to, you know, the lifestyles of the hip hop industry to the point that you see it now. What's the one major thing that changed for you, perspective-wise, when it comes to this?
What you mean that changed for me? Like
your perspective on, I guess, I would say the approach to hip hop now.
Man, you know, everything evolves, you know what I mean? Everything grows, nothing remains the same, and that's the beauty of it. So I know, you know, the business model changed with them 360 deals. The Sonic's always gonna change, the fashion gonna change, the dance gonna change. You know, and I respect that, because growth is everything. So it's just a matter of, you know, being an artist, right? Because I'm still an artist, though I want to wear many hats. You know what I mean? I want to be, you know, the owner. I want to be.
Right.
I want to do so many other things, but just the changes I just made me appreciate things more, right? Just made me appreciate and just always just want to represent. It made me want to represent, and I know when to fall back. At least I know when to fall back. And like, so me falling back in 2010 to now, I could have played myself, right? So now that I'm back out and popping, hopefully it can last as long as possible. But if that ever happened again, I know how to fall back and just take it easy. So I appreciate just the growth of everything and appreciating, learning the patience and just appreciate, you know, the game itself, right? That's it.
So currently right now, you know, this current day in hip hop, AZ is independent.
Oh yeah.
All right, no productions, no distribution deal, no.
We got this. You always got always have a distro. Like distro is not, but when you're doing everything yourself and everything comes back to you, that's the key, you know. And when you're doing that, you wanna, you know, when you get in a certain position, a certain light. Like for me to get back in the game, I wanna do other things now. You know, I got a wine coming, I got a sneaker coming. You know, getting ready to shoot a few movies and some shorts. You know what I mean? So now you want to do everything, right? Because you want to be bigger than the product, right? So when I first got in the game, I was told, you know, they was making stars back then, really. Like, you know, like they tell you, never let your music be bigger than you, right? Because people have a big record, but you never know who they are. So once that record die, what can they do after that? But if you bigger than that record, you can do other things. You know what I'm saying? So the goal is just to always just be bigger than what I'm putting out. You know what I'm saying? So that's the key for me now.
Okay, now Doe or Die, right? As a complete album, again, I think you kept the I think you kept for me, you kept that feel to the album.
Okay.
What, you know, you was always that melodic. You like the smooth, and you kind of stayed in that with this album as well. What was the direction? What was the overall direction you took with this album?
I mean, I guess like in that zone, I'm at my best. You know what I'm saying? Where I could be heard and I could just ice skate. You know what I'm saying? I guess the way people spit their lyrics is a reflection of their character, right? So me just being in the streets, I was always, you know, I like the smooth guys that walk light but hit hard, right? I always respected them type of guys. Don't say much, but get to the business. So I guess I adapted that style in my music. Like, I'm gonna represent, but I ain't gotta be loud. Like, you got those that's loud and they still represent too. But that's how they was very. I was very just, you know, I'm gonna do me. Just, you know, I'm gonna respect you, respect me. We ain't gotta talk about it. Whatever it's gonna be, we can get to it. You know what I mean? So it reflects on my music, how I move. Period. I think it's super dope that the industry had you got certain features up there for certain people. You know, if you look into some of your discography, blogs say it, certain platforms talk about it, that you introduced the mafioso vibe music back then, and you still got that. You still got that feel. And I say that to say you got a song with Rick Ross. He's kind of like he has that same vibe, boss music, and you know, it brings me some joy to see that, you know, you have these industry personalities that you can still link with these personalities. Like, how has the new industry cats have been? Like, how have they been receptive to you? I appreciate Ross for hopping on it. I appreciate all of them, like Conway for hopping on it, because he doing his 1-2. He ain't gotta do nothing for nobody. He the man, you know what I mean? Then Wayne, you know, he done did so much. So I just appreciate everybody. Dave V song, you know, because he's doing his thing right now. So just to get the love I appreciate it.
How was these conversations like? Was it a difficult phone call for them, for you?
Nah, it was love. You know, you gotta reach out if you want something done. You know what I mean? So on my side, I had to reach out, and it was reciprocated. You know, it was respect, and I appreciate them cats.
Right. The reason why I'm asking is because, like I said, man, in this current state of hip hop, you don't really know, you know, who's what and who stands where. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you don't. And the only way to find out is to find out. I mean, I understand. They be like, yo, I ain't fucking with you right now. Like, all right, cool, I appreciate it. You know what I mean? It don't mean nothing. Just they might be busy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So, you know, it was a pleasure for them holding your boy down, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with you know, Timbaland, I don't know if you've seen the post with Timbaland shouted
no, I ain't
it out.
see it. Yeah.
He shouted it out. He's, you know, they highlighted it.
Oh, that's
and,
real.
And it showed that he was on like
Timbo.
He basically is like proud that he's able to see this on the chart still, you
That's
know,
real.
peaking and all that. So I kind of, you know, like I said, it brings me joy seeing stuff like that coming from a veteran like you. You know what I'm saying? As far as like the moves you're making now and plans that you have for this album, you know, touring and whatnot. Even on your press fronts, how's it been as far as your the post album drop? How's things been for you?
It been live, man. It been live. I'm excited myself, right, for it to happen. So, yeah, man. Yeah, that's all I can say. Like, wow. Yeah. We now got to put more. I was getting ready to stop after this.
Right.
Now I got to put more out there. Now we got to play. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I know, you know, with I don't know how much of your team is involved with, you know, the directions of things that you do and what you actually plan on doing, or the directions they take when it comes to these youngsters and what plans you guys have right now in this current state of hip hop. But I kind of want to understand what directions are you guys taking when it comes to like planning out being with the state of the kids that's being involved. Like, does it affect your way of thinking when it comes to the kids? Like,
Well, you know, you gotta be more specific. I don't know what you told. What you mean by that?
So, like, as far hip hop is younger now. It's a little bit younger now, where a lot of the hip hop heads, a lot of the consumers are all online. You know, the approach to all these new, you know, ways of being online, fans being online, the younger, I guess the younger fan bases. What approach do you guys take? Does that, you know, do you think about that at all? Do you guys focus on that at all?
Nah, I don't focus on it. I just got to put my music out, and I know that we have our peers that's still out there that we came up with, and now hip hop is now 40 years old, 50 years old, or whatever. So you could just do you now, and it'll fall in a pocket somewhere. You know what I mean? So I would love for the kids to get on and discover AZ. That'd be fly. You know, I'm gonna feed them just like I'm feeding my peers. So it'll be a great look. But I know I got a fan base out there. Right.
And I love it, man. You know, I think that's what's, you know, what's been special about your brand all throughout these years. I gotta ask this because it's important for me. What keeps an artist, an entrepreneur, a man like yourself grounded to staying in what you do, rather than seeing, yo, I could make that kind of music or I could make this kind of music? What keeps you grounded?
I mean, in my mind, I just represent for the homies that's not here. You know what I mean? The homies that's dead, incarcerated. I always felt like I was just carrying on tradition, and I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that till it's all over. You know, I just feel like I gotta represent. Like, I'm from that era. Like, my age will tell you, the 80s era was, you know, for the young cats, the 80s was something terrible. I know now they off the hook, but the 80s was something terrible. But it taught you, you know, a couple of things, and, you know, we lost a lot of good ones, you know, and the 80s, 90s, and so forth. But I just always wanted to carry on tradition and represent how I was inspired and what gave me that energy to see those I looked up to, not just in the music, but in the streets and just surviving the life that we was living, how they represented. I always just wanted to take that and just keep that going. And hopefully there's some younger cats out there that be like, yo, I like A-Style, you know, and they represent because it's pure, it's just real, it's just like, yo, we here for each other, and I'm always gonna drop a jewel or two in the music, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pop my little shit, but I'm gonna drop a jewel or two, and hopefully, you know, the right ones catch it, and then they keep passing, it just keep on passing that, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
There's a lot of jewels you got on there, man. It's a few joints on there that I think you know, went crazy on. Was there anyone that you wanted to get on there specifically that you didn't get a chance? It was like last minute thing you wanted to catch with a week, y'all both didn't have time or whatever the case may be?
Nah.
You caught everyone that you needed on
I caught who I wanted to, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like I said, I'm getting ready to work on something real soon to catch something else.
I like that.
The other ones I want.
Yeah,
so we're gonna rap. It ain't over.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, before we wrap up, I do want to ask you, disconnect between the veterans and the youngsters. I always like to bridge that gap, though, you know, because I think it's more of a respect thing. You know, I think the youngsters need to respect the veterans more, and then the veterans need to have the conversation with the youngsters more.
Yeah.
And I always ask my, like I said, the legends that come on the show, who's the young cats that you rock with right now? You say, yo, I listen to this cat. These. Give me 4 names.
No, I like Lil Baby. I like Lil Durk. I like Ferg. ASAP Ferg.
Shout out to Ferg.
I'm always gonna like J. Cole's and Kendrick's. Like, they represent.
Right. That's solid. That's solid, man. Like I said, man, for the youngsters that's tuned in, and for the ones that's already familiar with your brand, has been fans all these years, us, what message would you want to leave off before we check out?
Stay down for your crown. You know what I mean? Never give up. You heard?
It's a fact. It's a fact. Appreciate everybody been tuning in.
It's the original joint right here.
It's the original joint.
Doe Or Die 2.
That's a fact.
Original Doe Or Die 2 out now. Make sure you snatch it up.
It's a fact. Hey, I appreciate you making it down here, bro.
Salute.
Thank you.
What's up?
Subscribe now.